If you suspect you are on the spectrum, or self-identifying as autistic, or if you are pursuing or have received a late diagnosis of autism and you're feeling a bit overwhelmed about being autistic, I found a book you should check out. It's called Embracing Late Adult Autism, a self-help guide for adults discovering their neurodivergent mind and learning to thrive on the spectrum, and it's by Susanna Kingston. Now, in this video, we're going to dive into this book, and I will share why Embracing Late Adult Autism should be on your reading list. So, let's get started. Hey, Define Yourselfer, I am the Confident Autistic, an autistic adult, late diagnosed, and I'm a digital creator. On this channel and my website, theconfidentautistic.com, I create content that will empower you to live confidently autistic. If this is what you're looking for, please subscribe to the channel and do not forget to ring the bell to be notified when my weekly live stream starts. Embracing Late Adult Autism starts out by helping you understand what the autism spectrum is and what it isn't. One of the great parts of the first chapter of the book is this book takes the time to debunk 7 common misconceptions about autism. And some of them, even though you're on the spectrum or you're discovering you're on the spectrum, you may believe some of these misconceptions. So it helps you realize what the facts are versus what the misconceptions are, so you have a better understanding of what it means to be an autistic adult. Now, the book also goes into, and I believe this is chapter 2, the diagnostic process, and it goes into a really good deep dive of this. It starts out by telling you what the process may look like. Remember, everyone's experience may be a little bit different, but this gives you a general idea what you may or could expect to happen while you're going through the process of the late diagnosis of autism. Now, not only does it do that, because this is kind of a big topic in our community, it helps you work through why you may want to seek a diagnosis. Okay, what it does is it shares with you some of the pros and benefits from it. But this book does not stop there. It also gives you information for you to think about if you want to consider maybe not getting a diagnosis. I mean, some of us, we don't need that diagnosis. Some of us, we want it or do need it because it could get us accommodations at school or in our jobs. And that's fine. It gives you both sides of that so you can make a decision on their own. The book does not. This book does not try to sway your decision whether you pursue a diagnosis or not. It gives you a lot of facts to think about so you can make the decision that's best for you. And like I said, it does help you make the decision that is right for you because it presents a really good argument. Maybe argument is not the right word, but a good basis of facts that you need to consider for why you should get the diagnosis and why you shouldn't. Now, after it goes through these first 2 chapters, the book dives into living with autism, which is a very important part of us, a part of life that we need to understand as adults who are late diagnosed with autism. And it gives us some information about managing stress, because stress really does play a number on us who are on the spectrum, because many of us also have a coexisting condition of anxiety. And stress does fuel anxiety, which when we are feeling anxious can cause more I don't want to say trouble, because I don't think that's the right word, but makes having autism more challenging, could cause us to have some meltdowns or some other experiences that are unpleasant. The book also talks about how to manage sensory overload. And some of the tips they give I really love, like building predictable routines. Now, I'm a late diagnosed autistic adult, and I can tell you, I hate it when my routines are messed up, and I feel calmer when I know what to expect and when my routines are predictable. So that's one of the things that they talk about in helping managing sensory overload. Because when my routines are messed up, and when they're messed up and all, then my sensory issues, in my case, auditory is one of my biggest ones. I will become overwhelmed very easily and become disoriented, irritated, uh, and just want to shut down. So this is really a good tip that they go into in this book. They also talk about practice self-compassion. This is part of managing your sensory overload issues, and it's good advice for life in general, whether you're on the spectrum or not. Let's be honest, okay? Because we need to accept ourselves for who we are, and all of our uniqueness, all of our gifts that come with autism for each of us. So the book does talk about practicing self-compassion, which we all need to. And this is my favorite part of managing sensory overload. And I think it should apply to general life on the spectrum. Alone time. We need to prioritize alone time. Okay? We do. It's very important to me. Okay? I love my alone time. In fact, I probably want alone time more than most people who are not on the spectrum. I love my alone time, okay? I can't get enough of it. That's just me. But the book does talk about alone time, why it's important, and gives you some ideas on what to do during alone time that will help you, which includes self-compassion. Now, the fourth chapter goes into understanding and managing sensory issues. And this goes into explaining how sensory processing is different in us. We're not weird. We're not oversensitive. We're not a party pooper because we don't like loud noises. We process um, sensory issues, whether it be light, sound, smells, whatever, differently than our neurotypical peers. And that's okay. And knowing this and learning this from the book will help you have self-compassion, which we talked about earlier, and help you understand you are not an alien on this planet. You're just wired differently, and there's nothing wrong with that. The book, during the chapter about understanding and managing sensory issues, discusses the differences between hypersensitivity and hyposensitivity. Now, here's a little spoiler alert. I'm going to explain those terms to you real briefly here. Hypersensitivity, also known as sensory overresponsivity, means a heightened sensitivity to sensory stimuli, causing discomfort or overstimulation. Hyposensitivity, or sensory underresponsivity, means a reduced sensory or sensitivity, that is, to sensory stimuli, requiring more intense input to perceive whatever that sense is, whether it be smell, sight, sound, whatever. Now, chapter 5 is a really important chapter. Chapter 5 is something that I know for myself, and I think many of us in the spectrum battle with it and want to try to wrap our heads around and do better in. And that's in relationships and social interactions. Because these are hard for us, okay? I don't get social interactions. I hate small talk. I hate it. Don't try it with me because it frustrates the heck out of me. And I get really tense about it. And I, I, I make it a point of telling you where to go. Okay, so I don't like that. I don't get it. I don't understand friendships. I don't understand relationships. I wish I did. I would love to have more friends in my life. In one way, I would. Because this is something I don't understand. But I am realizing as I'm getting older, I'm okay being alone in my life. I kind of like the alone time and all. And I'll be doing a video on this about aging and how that changes as we get older in the autism spectrum. Really interesting research I did on that topic, and I'll be doing a video on that soon. And when it's available, it will be in the video description for this video. But let's get back to chapter 5, where it talks about relationships and social interactions. It gives us a breakdown that will help us understand social dynamics and communication. And that's a very big topic. Okay, let's be honest, that is a very good topic, and it does give you some basics of it. Okay, it's and this is no reflection upon the book. It's just me. Okay, I didn't grasp everything in my first read of this section of the book. Okay, because there's a lot there to digest, but it is there, and I encourage you, if you read this book, or when you read the book, let's be positive. When you read this book and you get to this section, don't power read through it. Take your time. And you want to hold on to this book, and I'll probably mention this again at the end of the video, as a reference book, because there's great information that you're going to want to come back to. And as you progress through your journey as a autistic adult, more of this will start making more sense to you. Okay, so if you don't get it the first time, anything in this book, don't say, well, this is a bad book. No, you're just not ready for that yet. And that's okay. Just save it as a reference, and when you're ready, it will start making sense to you. Now, also in the relationship and social interaction section of this book, Susanna shares strategies for navigating social dynamics. Another thing that made some sense to me, but went a little bit over my head. And again, it's not the book. It's just social interactions and relationships are so complicated for me. I don't think I'll ever understand them, but it does give you some great resources there, and maybe you'll understand it better because how autism affects you is different than it affects me. That's fine, but this chapter does cover those things. And in this chapter, Susanna shares some strategies for improving social skills, including eye contact. Now, many of us in the spectrum, and I say that for a reason, do not like eye contact. And I say that for a reason. My great nephew is on the spectrum. And when he talks to me, he insists on eye contact, and which I hate eye contact, but I do it for him, because I want to encourage that, and it's important to him, and I love him, and he's only 7, so what are you going to do, right? So it gives you some strategies in eye contact, and making eye contact with a person is difficult for you. Look at their forehead or their nose or something else, on their face area. So it kind of looks like you're making eye contact, but you're not actually making eye contact. So it's a great resource for that. Now, this book also goes into an area that could be a landmine, okay, for many of us on the spectrum, romantic relationships. It goes into that, some of the do's and don'ts, and some advice on how to make those work. Although I do not get friendships and other kind of relationships, I don't want to brag. Okay, I do. And I shouldn't though, but I'm proud of this. Although I've always struggled with friendships and relationships, and many of them I've damaged or destroyed because of various reasons, which I think anyone in the spectrum can relate to, because we've all damaged or destroyed friendships, not intentionally, but we did. I have been happily married, coming up June of 2025, for 22 years. My first and only marriage, and it's been wonderful. So I don't know how I do it, but I do. So I'm happy about that. And if it's not broken, don't fix it. Okay, that's my theory. Now, not only is this book great resource and information on personal, romantic, and social relationships, it goes into work and career. This is important for many of us, okay? Because we all want to be working. We all want to be productive members of our society. And in this chapter, it helps you find, or gives you advice how to find the right job that fits your strengths and needs, okay? Not really an assessment form in there per se, but it gives you some things to think about and say, oh yeah, that makes sense. working in this type of environment would be better for me because it supports my autistic traits. Now, in the work and career section, which is an important part for many of us in the spectrum, is keeping a job. I'm sure many of us go through many jobs in our lives because of autism or whatever, and how our body processes things differently, or our mind, I should say. And so this chapter does give us some advice on how to keep our jobs. Now, I love this part of the book in the chapter about working and career, and that's creating an autism friendly workspace. And some of the strategies they talk about in it, lighting that's not too intense, noise, how to deal with noise, maybe working remotely, whatever, and creating a space that's not too cluttered, whatever works for you, not just for work. This could be used for creating a autism friendly environment for you to live in. It can include how you could set up your house or your apartment where it supports your autistic needs. And this book goes into requesting reasonable accommodations at work. And now this, I don't know about other countries because I only live in the United States, been to Canada for about 3 hours and came back. I enjoyed it. Niagara Falls was beautiful. But I know in the United States, we can request for reasonable accommodations at work, at least at the time of the taping of this video. And it gives you some strategies on how you can do that and how you can present it in a way where it's not just a win for you, but it's a win for your employer. Many employers are going to say, what's in it for me? Okay. How does this help us be a more successful business? So it gives you some advice on how you can frame your requests in a way that will um, answer that question for the employers, which increases your chances of getting that reasonable accommodation provided to you. Now, an important part of this book, I know I said this before, this is important, uh, is this book talks about mental health well-being. Because for many of us on the spectrum, we do not have just autism. We have coexisting mental health conditions. And this book covers many of them, including anxiety, depression, ADHD. Now remember, ADHD and autism could not coexist together until the DSM-5 in 2013. So it's now possible for someone to have ADHD and autism, which has been coined within the ADHD and autism community as AUDHD. And the book talks about a avoidance behavior known as PDA. And I cannot for the life of me remember what PDA stands for. I am so sorry. Let me see if I can Google that real quickly here. Okay, let me just do this. Okay. Show prep is good. Okay, PDA stands for pathological demand avoidance. Okay, I knew the A was avoidance. Pathological demand avoidance. That's what PDA is. That's a new term to me. I never heard that before. I don't think I have. Had the problem. Although looking back at my life, I was considered very stubborn as a kid. And because people would ask me or tell me I had to do things, especially in school. And I guess maybe I did it. Maybe I've outgrown it or learned it does not get me anywhere. But yeah, PDA, pathological demand avoidance. And then, of course, this book also in the mental health well-being section talks about conversational overwhelm during small talk. That was a really good portion of the book for me because I hate it. Okay, when people do small talk, here's my problem. So somebody will say something to me, one or two things, like, uh, uh, "Today's Friday, right?" And like, I don't know what to say to them. And the first response out of my mouth is something sarcastic because I'm really good at sarcasm. And I say, "What was your first clue that it was Friday?" Or, "No kidding, Sherlock." Well, I say something else, but I like to keep it family friendly in the videos. And because I don't know what the other person is expecting me to say in small talk. So I just don't get it. And that makes me feel overwhelmed because it's like they're saying something. What do they expect me to say back? For me, I do some fawning. I am a people pleaser. I shouldn't be, because I think I compromise and then I'm unhappy afterwards because I bent over backwards too far. But that's my own issue. Anyway, well, not about me right now. It's about this book. Now, the book also covers how to advocate for yourself, which is an important skill that each and every one of us on the spectrum needs. In fact, whether you're on the spectrum or not, every single person in the world needs to know how to advocate for themselves. And this book gives us some advice on that. Great advice. And of course, at the end of the book, I love this part. It gives you personal stories of autistic adults. And this portion is really great because it helps you connect with people. Some you may have heard of, some you may not have heard of, that are famous in the fields, and gives you a feeling that I'm not alone. I'm not different. I'm not oddball. I'm not unique. I'm autistic and others are too, and they have succeeded, and I can do the same. Now, another fun part about this book, I love this, and this is why I say it should be a reference book. This book also includes a small glossary of autism-related terms. It's not a thorough one, but it's a good starting point. Now, I really did enjoy reading this book. I loved it. The title drew me to it, and it did not disappoint me. But there's one downside I got to say about this book, okay? Because it's a good starting point if you're just, beginning your journey on the spectrum. But here's the downside. This book does not do much of a deep dive on any topic that I talked about here. They do good surface and a little bit below the surface covering of a topic, but they don't go deep into it. If you want to go deeper into, let's say, relationships when you're on the spectrum, you may want a book that focuses specifically on this. This book gives you a good starting point, a good launching pad for you to begin your journey. But as you go deeper into your journey, you're going to want more. And as I find the books that's going to provide you more, I will be posting more reviews on my website, theconfidentautistic.com, and videos of those reviews right here on this YouTube channel. So like I said, this book does not do much of a deep dive on any topic, but it is a good starting point for any adult who is starting a journey on the spectrum. So I have a link to this book in the video description because it's available on Amazon. And as an Amazon affiliate, the link is an affiliate link. So when you use that link and make a purchase on Amazon, I may earn a small commission at no additional cost to you for your purchase. And those commissions are one of the many ways you can show your support for the channel. Another way is by liking the channel and sharing this video with others. Now it's your turn. Have you read this book? If so, what do you like about the book? Are you interested in this book? Whatever you want to share, this is your turn. Post them in the comments. I read each and every comment that is posted on this channel. If this video resonated with you, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more confidence building content for autistic adults. And be sure to ring the bell to be notified of new videos and when I go live. Until next time, I'm Chris Mitchell, the Confident Autistic, and I am all about helping you live confidently autistic.